himself, how he's able to word stuff and make it make sense to us. I wish I could express myself like he does. But I just happen to have the author here with us, by the way, Al West. He's an international published author, speaker, and life coach. Welcome, Al.
Welcome, I'm here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, we have your book cover up here on the screen, and right now it's an audiobook.
Yes, it is.
But any minute now, it's going to come out on what, Amazon and other places?
Yeah, it's going to be available on Amazon, iTunes, and other places in hard copy as well.
Yeah. But those of us, now I'm a little older, Al, it's harder and harder for me to read books because the print is getting smaller and smaller, but I love audiobooks, and that's where you could get this book right now. Is that correct?
It is an ebook right now. It'll be an audiobook and a hardcover in the next 30 days. Yeah. Absolutely.
Ebook. That's what I meant to say. Ebook. I do the ebooks because I could blow up the text and change the backgrounds and stuff like that. And I want to tell you're going to tell us everywhere it could be obtained right now, but I'll tell our viewers, if you go to the web address on the screen, a mouthful of masterpieces.com, that's so easy. It's right there. You click, and that's the best way to get it, I think. Tell us about, what's the full title, Al?
The book is called Mind, Poetic Power Principles, and it's essentially about self-discovery and putting you on a path to enlighten yourself to be the best version that you could possibly be. A lot of individuals, a lot of people, a lot of us, everybody wants to be a millionaire in this day and age. And it's extending yourself to everybody else's version of themselves, but you fall short when you don't enlighten the version of yourself to become the best person. You can't reach that until you pour into yourself and get out what's locked inside, and that's the best version of your mind.
Yeah. Why? I know a lot of people that you're talking about, those they just can't get to that next step. Is it a confidence issue? What stops people from getting to their next level?
I think that it is a confidence issue and just believing in yourself to the point that you don't need an opinion from anybody else. We're raised to get opinions based off of what others think. And if we're getting praise over here or praise over here, then we think we're on the right path. Yeah. And as soon as the cheerleading stops, then we go right back to what's wrong. So nothing's ever been wrong. It's just that you have to be your own cheerleader.
And by the way, I told you before we came on the air, the back of the book, it says it all about believing in yourself and getting confidence in yourself and kind of taking control of yourself. And I guess the book probably expands on those thoughts?
Absolutely. I like to write in a poetic format. I believe that life comes to us in pieces. As we all know, we can't eat our food whole. We have to cut it in pieces to even put it down. So I write my book in pieces, and it's like a big puzzle. And once you read it, you'll put the whole puzzle together.
Yeah. Who needs this book, Al? Who should be reading it?
The person that needs that book is someone who is trying to find themselves, someone who is trying to enlighten themselves, someone who is trying to discover what and whom they are to become a better version of that. This is who needs this book.
Yeah. I could think of a couple of people I'd like to give it to right away, and I will. I will do that. Now, I study this stuff too. Some people don't like the term self-help book, but just ways to get your mind in the right place to move towards success. I've been studying that all my life, and I do very well with it. But I don't stop studying it. You got to pick up the next book, and this is a good one. I'll recommend to a lot of people. It's the next book. You got to keep studying it, listen to people how they phrase stuff, and you do it really well, Al. I haven't read into the book. I want to see how you do it poetically. That'll be neat.
Absolutely. I think that it's just like I said, it's like putting a puzzle together. When you have a bunch of small parts, I don't write in chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3. I just think that's too long. And a lot of people, if a book is that long, they won't get through it. But it's like watching a movie for the first time. If you go back and watch the movie again, you're going to notice things that you didn't notice before. So I like to kind of put my book in a gated community. Unless you are pouring into yourself and pouring into your mind and trying to develop those instincts and that intelligence, then you'll come back to this book and read it again in its small portionate format, and you'll see something or hear something that you didn't see before.
Now, once somebody's read the book and they want to go back, can they go piece by piece, or they need to go in order? Can they just pick one part out and go over that again?
Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, it's in no particular format. It's
It's
in the format that's going to bring you into an enlightenment. So you can read it from back to front if you want to.
back to prayer. I might try that. I might try that. Now, you've been doing this for some time, studying this, writing about this. Are you a poet? Are you an author?
I'm a poet and an author, but I'd like to say that life's experiences has brought me here. A lot of us have studied things. I haven't studied these things. I've actually experienced a
Yeah.
lot of things that's what brings me to my writing.
Yeah. I think that's an interesting approach. You've gone out and done stuff. You learn. You're not always successful, but that's how you learn to take the next
Right.
step. Now, tell me about the website. When I saw the website, A Mouthful of Masterpieces, I thought, wow, that's an incredible website. By the way, I memorized it the first time I read it because you made it into a nice little, almost poetic sentence. What would our guests find if they visit the website?
At my website, you'll find information about me. You'll find information about my books. You'll find information about my speaking engagements and where I'll be in the world speaking. And you'll also find information to book a call with me if you want to come on a personal call and let's talk about it. So you'll find all that information on my website. And you'll also find links to books that I've created on Amazon. I have 14 titles on Amazon
Okay.
that I've created books on, coloring books that have positive affirmations in them, and notebooks that have positive affirmations in them. So not only do I write, I create other types of books.
Nice. Now, I was going to ask you about the life coach. You kind of answered the question. If somebody wants to engage you as a life coach, they could go to your website and get a hold of you?
Absolutely. They can book a call or subscribe to my newsletter and get a hold of me, and then we can start the process.
Oh, great. There's a newsletter, an ongoing input from Al West. Now, Al, I am going to, I mentioned I know some people that I would like to give this book to, but this is how I order books like this sometimes. I'll go on, I don't order one, I order 5 of them, and I give them out, because you'll meet somebody every day. Even guys like me, I need books like this. I need to keep reviewing and getting in touch with myself and figuring out where I need to be. And every week I have to go to somebody's house for dinner or whatever. And you always want to take a book, take a gift. So I take books like this and leave it with them, and they love them. So
That is absolutely the best way. That is the best gift to give somebody.
yeah, a book.
You
And,
can give them money, they'll spend it, but
yeah.
if you give them book, you'll give them a lifetime of information that they can use.
Well, I always used to take a bottle of wine, but now I take books. And they go, no wine? I go, but this book is great. You gotta look at it. Al, we're
Absolutely.
running out of time already. I could talk to you all day because I like your approach and especially the way you write. Any last thoughts? Anything else you want to share with our viewers on your books about life or any subject at all?
You know, I wrote a quote, and it's called Generations. You will teach your children what your grandmother taught your mom if you don't change your mind. So it's all about changing your mind so you can trickle down to the next generation so we can get better and better as a people in what we do and what we discover here. But the first point is do your own self-discovery,
Yeah.
do your own work. Find yourself and you'll find your freedom.
Right. Wow. That's great, Al. Al West. I hope you come back on the show again and again. It's
Absolutely, I will.
It's great to interview people who know what they want to say. It makes it so easy. I'm going to get the book. I'm going to get the ebook, and I'll let you know. I'll email you and tell you how I liked it or what I got out of it, Al.
Absolutely.
All right. And for our viewers, like I say, go to the website at mouthfulofmasterpieces.com. You'll find everything you need right there. And our guest is Al West, and we'll be back with another guest right after this.
Thank you.
My horse, a hummingbird, and a very small tiger. Look at this book. What could that title mean? We're going to find out because We have the author of that book right here on our show. Welcome, Amita McBride. Amita?
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Did I get the title right? My horse, a hummingbird, and a very small tiger.
Very close, yes.
Tell us what that's about.
Well, it was my first book that I wrote about a decade ago, and it's a true story. Everything that I write is inspired by my travel and events that have taken place in my life. And this hummingbird had gotten trapped in my feed barn, and she was frantically trying to get out, and I was trying to load my horse onto a trailer. And as I watched her, she was trying to go through a window that didn't open, and she was exhausting herself, and the door was open behind her. And I was trying to catch her and help her, and she was fighting me and fighting herself and fighting everything. And when she finally surrendered and just collapsed on the windowsill, I was able to pick her up and turn around and let her fly out into the sky. And I realized in that moment that this was a very powerful story. And it sounds like a children's book, but it is actually a story for all ages. And I've had people of all age ranges read it, and it's about really looking at how you live your life. And do you constantly throw yourself against brick walls, or do you look at all the options around you? Do you stop? Do you take a breath? Do you turn around and walk through the door that's presenting itself to you? And so it was just this amazing inspiration for a story about life and having the courage to listen to your heart and follow your dreams and move through difficulties and see them as blessings, even though they might not feel that way at the time. So.
And this book is getting attention. It's 10 years later, and is it getting a resurgence of attention?
Well, what happened was, I guess I will share this, is that my son, who I lost shortly after the book, did the beautiful art for the book. So I wasn't in a place where I could do anything with the story. And so it took some time, and with my other works and some of my other involvements, I started getting calls and questions about the book, and I've done some other interviews about the book, and I've had some interest of it maybe being a series, more directed towards children, but in terms, again, of empowerment and self-belief and honoring your dreams and not following what other people tell you to do. And so I'm pretty excited about the possibilities with this book, because my other writing is very, very different. This is the only work that I've done like this.
Now we have, I should say, we have some of your other books here as well. You're going to have to help me because I can't see the screen so far anymore. I'm losing the ability. Well, you say the name of one of your other books. Something Animal,
Sure.
Have Animal, Animal Crackers. Tell us about that one.
Yes, I have another book, Have Animal Crackers Will Travel, and that is also sort of unique in how I write. And it's a collection of writings throughout my life to inspire people again, to live their lives fully, to be who they are, to be their own visionary, to be the voice of their spirit, and to live fully. And I'm also in 2 books in a series called A Journey of Riches with an Australian publisher, and it's a best-selling series in 8 countries. It's a huge honor to be in his series.
And you wrote part of the book?
I'm a co-author, so I wrote one of the chapters. So the first book is called Transform Your Wounds into Wisdom, and I'm an author in that book. And his latest book, Elevate Your Life, he contacted me and asked me to be in that book. And I'm listed as the first author, which is a huge honor. All of his proceeds go towards orphanages, farmers, the elderly, people that are struggling in Bali and in different areas. And it's really amazing because he sends out emails showing pictures of how the funds and the monies coming in for the work are truly helping people.
Wow.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
I mean, to tell our viewers, where are you? Where do you live that you have horses and cowboy hats and stuff like that?
I'm in Missoula, Montana. I came here from Colorado, and I live in a canyon in a partial earth house. It's pretty neat. So I'm a beekeeper and a glass blower, and I do a lot of different things. So,
now, does it snow there? Do you have to endure snow?
Oh yes.
You probably have the same in Colorado, I would imagine.
It's very similar. I lived at higher elevation in Colorado, but it gets very cold here, a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We don't
exactly.
see snow. We have to travel if we want to see snow where we are. So,
Well, we've got plenty to share.
what now? There's the book you talked about. Another book. It's coming out. You were just talking about it, or it's already.
Yeah, I'm working on a couple of other books. I'm pretty excited about this new one. I have a Norwegian illustrator who's going to do watercolors for me. So this is very exciting because it's a new dynamic for me. And it's a true story, and it took place in Glacier National Park in Montana when I worked there a number of years ago. And so I'm writing the story that happened, and I'm also including a lot of information about the animals that I encountered on that particular day and about the park. And I'd like to be able to find a local publisher to put it in national parks. And I'm also about to start working on a collection of stories. I've traveled extensively and lived with indigenous in many parts of the world and worked with elders and medicine people, and I work with Amazon plants. And so I'm working on putting together a collection of stories of these travels, these amazing, remarkable opportunities that I've had. All of my work is intended to help people transmute difficulty, to be inspired, to step into the truth of who they are, instead of living small, contracted, to expand, because life isn't easy, nothing's guaranteed ever. And it's how we work through that. Do we choose to not live, or do we take a breath, and do we keep going and say, well, all I've got is the time I'm given, right?
Right.
And so what are we going to do with that, right?
I'm going to get your books. I got some people I want to give them to that I think they might get something out of reading them, get a little inspiration, or learn to spread their wings a little, or learn to find where they need to or want to be in life.
Well, thank you. That's very honoring. And part of My Horse the Hummingbird and a Very Small Tiger, the small tiger is a woven finger puppet I bought from a child in Puno, Peru on Lake Titicaca. And he's the voice of your conscience in the story. And so it's very significant in terms of, I talk about going on pilgrimage, and you can do pilgrimage lots of different ways, but it's taking that time to really listen to yourself and figure out what you want to do. And
Yeah, I have some people that need some inspiration. I think you are. I'm inspired just talking to you for a few minutes here. I'll tell you, note to our viewers, are these sold at all the regular places, Amita?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If you go to Amazon, don't click and order one. Order 5 copies of the book, this great book with the artwork on it, because you're always having to go to a party or some celebration or something. So I like these stacks of books, and I give them away as host gifts or whatever. And
Well, that is so kind and so helpful for authors that aren't yet with big traditional publishers. And some of the best books I've ever written are books that have been given to me by friends that they have come across from amazing authors that have these stories that are true, and we always need that, that to hold ourselves in that higher place and move forward. And so that would be amazing. And there's information about my books and some more interviews, like specifically about different parts, on my website, and more of the work that I do there in terms of like with the Amazon and the rainforests and Amazon plants and things like that. And
we have your web address. I hope I got it right. Rideswithfire.com?
Yeah.
We have it on the screen, so I recommend to our viewers, go there. Can they buy the book there?
I believe I only have an e-copy so far of the first Journey of Riches book, but I do have the e-copies on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and those places, yeah.
Well, I'm very inspired just talking to you, Amita. Any last thoughts you want to share with our viewers about your books or anything in the world?
I am going to be working on getting my books on Audible form, because I know that is so helpful for me. I listen to books on Audible when I'm busy doing other things, because you don't always have time to sit down and read as much as you would like.
Yeah.
And so I am working on that and working on starting some podcasts as well,
Good.
where there can be questions and answers, because I do a lot of work with people that have walked through difficulties. And to me, all of us are here to help each other, and how to move forward through things. And some of us have walked through certain challenges that other people can help us with, and vice versa. And through our writing and through our lives and our experiences. And I just wanted to thank you for this opportunity to talk with you.
I will leave you with this, that my favorite Audible books are read with the author's voice. It just,
Yes.
the passion really comes through. You have a great voice. I hope you'll use your voice.
Thank you. Yes, I would like to read it myself. I think there's something that's missed sometimes when someone doesn't know the author or their work. And so, the author, they put themselves into their writing. It's part of who they are. And so when they're reading the piece, you feel it. You feel a deeper connection.
Way more emotion. Our guest is author Amita McBride. Go to her web address, rideswithfire.com. And don't go anywhere, because we'll be back with another author right after this.
Thank you so much.
That was great. Turn this one more thing to click here. That was great.
Hello, this is Hope Roski with Weddings and Celebrations, and today we're going to the floral department. So I have with me a very special guest. Her name is Ann Denise. Ann, welcome to the show.
Hello, thank you for
Oh, it's so great to have you back again. I wanted to talk to you a bit about your floral company called Country Chic, which I just love the name, and you're located out in the Madera Ranchos, correct? Yes, and you've just started your business, but you have been very, very busy, and what you produce with your floral arrangements, just absolutely beautiful and breathtaking. And the pictures that you sent are really worth the see, and we'll talk about those in a bit. Tell us a little bit about what's current in the floral industry when it comes to weddings.
Lately, I have had a lot of either like whites and neutrals, or we just finished summer, so I had a lot of bright colors too.
Yes.
So kind of almost like opposites of the spectrum, but both really fun to design and create. A lot of more, instead of large arrangements, like bud vases, and just a lot of variety throughout tables and throughout the venue.
Right.
Which makes it a lot of fun too.
So one of the things that I've noticed are some of your bridal bouquets, and just it's like a very simple yet very elegant, and like in this picture that the viewers are seeing right now, it's a very flowing arrangement of flowers. About how many flowers does it take to make a big bouquet like that one?
That big bouquet, there was probably 7 to 10 roses, plus there was ranunculus, there was multiple stems of orchids, there was a lot of different filler and line flowers, and that one had about 3 or 4 different kinds of greens mixed in too.
They
can get pretty
pops.
hefty,
Yeah.
or they can be really small and simple.
Right. Well, this one just looks so beautiful, just the way that it flows and it looks, and it like I said, it's simple. It's a little bit more to the neutral, but I just really like the way you work some of the blush colors in there as well.
Thanks.
All right, and then there was another one that I really liked. It was a smaller bridal bouquet, and it's just the simple whites, just with the stems, and that one was really lovely. Tell us a little bit about that.
The bride was a really petite person, and so she was really worried about her bouquet being too big or too large for her and her dress, and kind of overpowering. So she really wanted to make sure it stayed just small, compact, and simple. But I was still able to work in a lot of texture, because that's one of my favorite things, is texture and not using the same flower through everything. And some peonies in there, since we were in the beginning of summer with this one.
It's absolutely beautiful. Now, we talk a lot about the bride, but then it comes time for the groom and the pocket boutonniere. How often do you, some guys are, they're pocket boutonniere, but that really makes a statement, especially during pictures. How important is that pocket boutonniere?
So the pocket boutonnieres have definitely been a newer trend this last year rather than your normal like pin-on boutonniere.
Yes.
So it's actually made in like a card and it slips into the pocket. So you can do so much more with them, I feel like. The one in the picture actually had a lot of flowers in it because that's what the bride wanted. And then the rest of the groomsmen were just a very simple boutonniere. So his stood out, just like her bouquet was really big and extravagant.
Right.
And then all the bridesmaids just had a few simple flowers.
And his does. I mean, just in the colors and
There's
everything.
a lot in there, yeah.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Looks great. So let's talk about, as you're coming down the aisle, you have, those taller podiums and things to that effect. How important is the arrangement up there?
So your aisle is going to have a ton of photo shots, right? From the whole ceremony, walking
Sure.
in and out. And I really try to tell my brides and my couples that aisle, either start of the aisle pieces or even aisle runners along the way, really make a difference in those photos, but also they're super easy to repurpose. So you could move them to in front of your bar or your DJ or your sweetheart table, whatever it is.
Sure.
And get multi-purposes out of them and make that impact at your ceremony and your photos there, but still enjoy them for the rest of the night too.
And once the people get seated, it's really, I think, important. Now everybody loves that elaborate flower arrangement, but I think you can be elaborate and what I call low because you want to be able to converse with the person across from you. What type of things are you arranging when it comes to that?
So for centerpieces, you can go a lot of ways. Like that low, you don't want to be right at face level because
Right.
you can talk to everyone. So lately, I've had a lot of orders for bud vases and just an arrangement, and all the vases are a little bit different. Sometimes you do different colored glasses, and just a few blooms and some greenery in each one, which is really nice. And it's been really like a gardeny or a more of an elegant. Sometimes they're a little more like whimsical, just kind of depending on how you set them up. But if you really do want a big arrangement too, one of your best ways for that at a table is to put it on a riser and have it up high so that you can still see through to everybody and the flowers up top.
So I have to go to the Shetland pony because that just stole my heart. So, at weddings, you might have different things going on, and this one actually had a Shetland pony. Tell me about how you decorated that cute little creature right there.
So this is the venue. It's called Tiny Hoof Acres. It's out in Madera Ranchos. And the owner and myself and another local vendor, Amy Shabby Sheiks, we coordinated on this wedding. And so we had 2 mini horses out during the ceremony, and there was a lot of greenery in the willow eucalyptus, so we made garlands for both of the mini horses as they wandered around on the grass. And then Stacy added the flowers in. But I've also even done garlands for alpacas, believe it or not.
Oh,
and
that's fascinating.
A couple that took pictures with alpacas. And I've seen them with donkeys and the mini horses and all kinds of things.
Oh my goodness.
But I just loved the angle of that picture because you can see the head table and that big arrangement.
Uh-huh.
And a little mini horse with it too.
So, with that being said, how long did it take you to do something like that for that miniature horse?
So for that mini horse, I cheated a little bit because the venue had the big willow trees. And so we trimmed big long pieces, so I just had to loop them. I didn't have to hand make the garland. If I have to hand make the garland, then that can get pretty time consuming.
So now, do you have a website for people to go?
So I mostly my full website is under construction, but Instagram or Facebook, which is just at Country Chic Floral Co.
Okay.
There.
At Country Chic Floral Co. You know what? You have inspired, it looks like, so many creative directions with your floral work, which is just, I think, absolutely wonderful. And how often do you communicate? Like, if you are working with a bride, groom, etc., how often are you in communication with them?
At the beginning, quite a bit, getting all of their ideas, all their Pinterest screenshots, and figuring out what their vision is. And if not with the bride, if they have a wedding coordinator, then I'll work with them as well for the same type of thing.
Do you have
and get them there? What was that?
Sure. Do you have a certain lead time?
Oh, lead time. The sooner the better. I've definitely pulled off some magic last minute things, but preferably a good few months at least, just because I want to be able to put the time and the thought into that day, and because those flowers are going to be, especially your people flowers, are going to be in your photos forever.
And how
so
far
I don't want
far
this-
out do you deliver?
I have gone all the way up to like Tenaya Lodge in Yosemite.
Okay.
I've been out to Exeter and Porterville areas a few times. I'm going to Visalia in November. I have a wedding down in Visalia. But I've also traveled to the coast for a few people. Mostly it's people that I know that get married over there, and I just load everything in my toy hauler and make it a camping trip at the same time.
Oh, there you go. That sounds great. Well, Anne, Denise, thank you so much for coming on the show. And your company, Country Chic Floral, certainly has a great deal to offer for any, obviously, you could see special event, because I'm looking at that little miniature horse and I'm thinking, how cute for a kid's birthday party to get
Right.
the horse
Yes.
decorated. So, I mean, it's not just the weddings, it's the other celebrations that you do as well.
Yeah, anything from baby showers and bridal showers, weddings, all the way to celebrations of life and memorials and things like that as well.
Well, I thank you so much for coming on the show, and I hope to see you again.
Thank you.
This is Hope Roski with Weddings and Celebrations.
Welcome back to Briggs on Books. It's our 9/11 edition, and I've been watching a lot of newscasts and reliving that day, 9/11. It seems like just yesterday, but I think it's been 23 years. We have a regular guest on our show, Bob Millsap, who has a 9/11 story. I've asked him to come on and share the story. He actually touches on the story in his book, Shake Yourself Free. It's a book that about take control of your life to move through the pain. Let's see if we can do some clicks and get our guest, Bob Millsap, on the screen. There he is. Welcome, Bob.
Hey there.
Yeah.
Great to be back with you.
I was reading
having me
your
on
9/11 story today, and I watched a podcast with Mike Rowe that talked about your story. Amazing, amazing, and moving story. I don't want to spoil too much of it, but it seems like a chance encounter with an old friend might have saved some lives. Tell us the story, Bob.
Yeah, so, gosh, it was, hard to believe 23 years ago. I was in the grocery business working for a company called Wild Oats Markets. I was on the East Coast, had been through a few states, and it was an action-packed trip. And I finished early on myself and my coworker, Simon. We finished early. We were in Connecticut. Finished early on the 10th, the morning of the 10th.
By the way, did you get to go on a lot of trips like this, or was this kind of a...
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
At that point in time, I was national director of grocery for this company. It was Wild Oats Markets, got eventually bought out by Whole Foods. And so I was on the road every week, and at times I'd see people. It was a good opportunity to see people and go out to dinner with friends and family around the country. And this particular trip, though, was so fast-paced. We had a lot of ground to cover, so I was due to fly out of LaGuardia back to Phoenix on September 11th, midday. So got finished with my work. We got finished early in Westport, Connecticut, and I was texting with my mom, of all people, and my mom texts me, and she's like, you know what you should do, since you've got some time on your hands, you should go to Yankee Stadium tonight, and Roger Clemens was pitching. He's going for his 20th win.
Wow.
Huge Dodger fan. I grew up with season tickets to the Dodgers, and so I'm like, all right, I'm all over it. So Simon and I, we checked out of our hotel early. We hightailed it down to Yankee Stadium, bought great tickets, and then it started raining.
Oh.
And so raining, and it was raining hard. So Simon and I went into, I think it was called Ballpark Lanes. It was a bowling alley bar across the street from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. We had a few beers, waited it out. Finally, they said they were going to play the game. So Simon and I go in, get to our seats, and our seats are great, right between first base and home plate. And we're getting ready to, the game's going to hopefully start. And right in front of me walks my lifelong best friend, Mike. Mike and I had grown up together
in L.A.
My best friend from Bakersfield.
Bakersfield, okay.
And here we are at Yankee Stadium. Running into each other. So
Amazing.
I'm like, oh my God, Mike, what are you doing here? So
you guys are from Bakersfield,
crazy.
and you bump into him at Yankee Stadium.
Right.
Okay.
Right. And him and I had been to Dodger Stadium together probably 100 times from the time we were in 7th grade to past college. And here we are both at Yankee Stadium for the very first time and don't even know we're there. I'd see Mike at times when I'd be traveling, but this trip I didn't even reach out to him because it was so fast.
Yeah.
So start talking, small world. He had gotten tickets at work and taken the train up. He worked in Manhattan, lower Manhattan, and we had a rental car. But we didn't have a place to stay because we were road warriors, and we would just, find a place to stay last minute back then, at different times. So anyway, we went back the game got rained out. We went back. We drove Mike and his wife Elena back to Hoboken, New Jersey, where they live. On the way to Hoboken, we're passing by the Twin Towers, and that's where Mike works. He works on the 104th floor.
Oh boy!
And he says, "You ought to come with me tomorrow morning, and see the view, because we didn't fly out till early afternoon. So we were going to do that. We were going to go see his view, and then go on to the airport. Well, we get back, we go to the little Irish pub down on the corner." And one beer turns to 2, turns to 3.
Yeah.
We end up closing the place down because we're talking.
It's an Irish pub, so yeah.
Right, and Mike and Simon are connecting well. We're talking a lot about music, and so we close the place down, and we go back and we keep drinking. Simon and I, we were done with working our rear off, and it was like a weekend for us. But for Mike, he was doing something he'd never done before.
Yeah.
And so the party, party, so to speak, kept going at Mike's apartment in Hoboken. And we were waking his wife, Elaine, up. She's like, get to bed. You know, you guys are loud. Finally, we get to bed. I wake up the next morning, massive headache, and I hear the shower going. And I think it's Mike, in the shower. And I lay there for a little while, try to go back to sleep. Door shuts. The person leaves. So I get up. And Simon is asleep on the couch. I'm in the spare bedroom. And I wake Simon up, tell him to get in the shower. And then I turn the TV on, and the tower had just been hit.
Oh, my gosh.
And I open the curtain, look out, and we're right across the Hudson and can see the tower. So I'm like, oh, my God, where's Mike? I think he's gone to work. Well, I'm like, Mike. And he's like, yeah, what? I said, you're here. And he's like, I am here. I hung over and I didn't go in. I'm like, oh my God, look at your building's gotten hit. Well, he looks out, he says, no, that's not my building. That's the other building. But oh my God.
So he didn't go to work.
So,
he always goes to work, and he didn't go to work that day because
he didn't go to work that day because we drank too much.
Okay, you partied all night.
Right. He, I guess the binge drinking from Garces High in Bakersfield paid off.
Came back, yeah.
And it was from that point forward, it was unbelievable. And Elena was gone, his wife, and she could have been, she had to take the PATH train into the World Trade Center, and then was going to take that, then walk from there to where she worked near the Trade Center. But anyway, she came back. She didn't make it that far. She got turned back.
Oh boy! And
she just hugged me, and it was like oh my God, the magnitude of what had just happened was that we kept this chance encounter kept Mike from going to work. 66 people didn't make it that day from his office. I think there were 110 people overall in his office. 82 were there that day. 16 made it out that just went immedately. They had just a very short window to get out. So Simon and I were there for the rest of the week.
You didn't. You couldn't fly out. They shut down all the airports.
They shut down the airport.
So you couldn't leave.
They couldn't leave. We were talking to our corporate travel agent about, renting a car and driving from New Jersey back to Phoenix, and Simon had to get to Portland, Oregon. We were talking about doing that. Some people with our company had done that from the East Coast to get back to the West. But we stayed, and I'll never forget, and it's hard to really put into crystal clear words, just the magnitude of the kindness, strength, support, unity that was shared by all the people there at that time. New York's it's a hard charging, rough place.
Yes.
And we, everyone, nobody had that, everybody was just working together and kind. And it's a feeling that I've never let go of. It was life-changing.
Yeah.
And
it was very amazing.
It's quite a story.
Talk to
Mike. I'll talk to Mike later today. I talk to him every year.
Yeah. You grew up together.
Say that one more time.
You grew up together in Bakersfield. You bump into each other at, was it Yankee Stadium? And
Yankee Stadium.
Ended up saying, how was the day, by the way? You're at his apartment in New Jersey?
Sorry, we're picking up.
That's all right.
The mic's not working very well. Go one more time.
You were at his apartment, and how did the day unfold? You watched the whole day unfold from his apartment?
Yeah, we did. So cell phones weren't working.
Ah,
So people knew that that Simon and I were back there.
yeah,
So the office, people from the office, my family
yeah,
were trying to get a hold of me. So my phone was dinging. This was 2001 technology. My
yeah.
phone was dinging that I was having messages, but I couldn't get them, and the phone wouldn't ring. So I was just getting dozens of messages. Because that night we had told a few people, like I had told my wife, I told my folks, told people at the office, told some people from Bakersfield that we were going to go into the trade center in the morning
Oh
and see
boy.
the view and on our way to the airport.
Yeah.
So so there was that going on. We walked down to the river to the huts and they were ferrying injured
Yeah.
people.
Wow.
The downtown Manhattan was just chaos, and they couldn't get fire engines and couldn't get ambulances down there. So they were ferrying people over across the river, and there were ambulances lined up, and they were taking people to New Jersey hospitals from there. You saw people with ashes and soot on their
Yeah.
faces. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was just such a horrible time, and it just
Now, could you see
so
the Twin Towers? Could you see the Twin Towers from inside the apartment?
Yeah, you could.
And did you see
could-
them
you could-
collapse?
You could see them. You could see them. So we were watching them. We were watching TV. Mike was trying to work the phones to try to talk to people and figure out what was going on, and because he lost
Yeah.
66 friends and colleagues that day.
Yeah.
And so the rest of the week was just a lot of um, a lot of he was finding a lot of
Yeah.
devastating things out.
Yeah.
And it
Amazing.
it just was quite a life changing situation.
Bob, I would like to talk to you for another hour, but they're already giving me the cutoff notice.
Time
I
flies.
want to go back before. I'll give you one more chance to say something, but here's Bob's book, Shake Yourself Free, and he talks about this in the book. Order the book at all your places. Bob's web address and Instagram on the screen. Bob, we've got to go. I just want to give you a minute. Any last thoughts? Anything else you want to share that we weren't able to get to?
As you can hear overhead, I live right by Luke Air Force Base. So that's the sound of freedom literally going on
Wow.
over us right now. And just just to be, we live in an amazing country. God bless America, and just there's so much for us to be thankful for, and so much to be unified about. And I just thank God every day that Mike's still here, and that I'm still here, and that we're able to tell this story. And God bless America.
I do want to say Bob is in Surprise, Arizona, kind of near Phoenix. How many days over 100 degrees in a row are you now?
It's well over 100 now. I think finally on Sunday it's going to be below 100, but it's been nonstop.
How many days?
108, I think, today.
108 days, my
over
goodness.
100 days.
Our guest is Bob Millsap. I appreciate the time. It's really a moving story. It's probably gets you a little choked up every time you tell it, and it's I've been watching this footage all day, and it gets me choked up. For our viewers, we'll be back with another author right after this, so please don't go anywhere. Welcome back to Briggs on Books. Are you about to pick the next book you read or the next book to add to your list? You're going to want to check this one out. It's called Pandora's Theorem. Not only do I have the book here, I have the author here who's going to tell us about the book and his inspiration and why and how he wrote it. Welcome to our show, Brian Christopher Murphy, the author of Pandora's Theorem. Welcome, Brian.
Hey Mike, how you doing? Good to see you again.
Very good. I was reading up on this book a little. It's pretty exciting. Set in Canada. Are you from Canada?
No, I'm actually originally from Indianapolis, but I was in Canada at the time I was writing it, so that's why I made that location, because different locations such as Ryerson University was kind of in my neighborhood, and so I'm familiar with all the different locations. That's why I'm able to write them so well. And a lot of the characters were based off friends of mine, and though the descriptions may have been a bit different, you know, some of the people and some of the personalities were kind of theirs. You know, a lot of authors do that. It's, you know, a certain part of our lives kind of go into the books as well, and you know, the key character is actually that was more a construct that Jameson. That like Michelle Louvet, that was a close friend, and the cat Muff was his cat, and you know, just I had a lot of fun. It took me 4 years to write.
Oh my goodness!
It turned out pretty good, I think.
Yeah. What is? Did you say whether it was set in a certain city in Canada?
Yeah, it's set in Toronto.
Toronto. Okay, so people from Toronto will recognize places and things in the book.
Right.
Now, what got my heart beating, and it always does when you said the Royal Canadian Mounted Police started searching for the suspect. I always thought that's neat that they have that in Canada.
Yeah, the RCMP is, that was a bit of a misnomer, because the RCMP is more equivalent to our FBI. So, now they, you know, that being international terrorism, they'd be involved. You know, things like that. There may be a few Canadian-ish things that I didn't quite get right, but I try to get my best friend to help me edit it. He's like, no, I want to wait until it's done. Okay, but once it's done, you can't complain. Okay.
Yeah, can't complain when it's finished. What year did you finish writing it?
I finished writing in 2002, I think, maybe later in 2002, and then 2003 was when it actually published, and it was originally published through Author House.
And what would you say the genre is? Who's going to want to read this book?
Be probably under medical thriller. And maybe get a little into science fiction, but mainly I would say medical thriller.
Medical thriller, yeah. But it almost sounded like something that could, you know, believably happen in today's day and age.
Oh yeah, I kind of think so, especially seeing that with all the advances in digital technologies and medical technologies, you know, and telomeres. That's been a known science, science of aging and things like that. That's been known for quite a while.
Yeah.
So I'm not too much into the science fiction realm.
By the way, here's the cover, which is a very dramatic cover.
I actually designed that myself. I did not use a design department. I just kind of came up with that. I think I don't know what inspired it, but it was just sort of. I think the theory of Pandora's box. You don't know what you're going to get. It's kind of where I drew my inspiration for the cover. You know, madness, mayhem, murder, money, of course. Kind of all the different elements I see as contributing, to those different, kind of the motive for murder, so to speak.
Almost a formula for murder.
Really, I was just kind of thinking, but that just sounds kind of cool. But hey, author, go figure.
Now, before I start any interview, I punch up to the Amazon, and it popped right up, very easy to find. Where else can people get the book?
If they're still around, like Borders bookstores, Barnes and Noble, Probably Amazon is your best bet. I'm not sure what booksellers. There's really only three book distributors, like Baker, Taylor, Brown, and I can't remember the third.
Yeah.
But so where else? But definitely Amazon. I know it's available there, hardcover. I'm sure there are places where you can find paperback copies. With it having been available for so long, I think it shouldn't be too hard to find.
Yep, they should be out there. If they're out there, they're out there. You can find them, that's for sure. And now is it in? I call the versions you have analog, good old hardcover and paperback.
Right. Because see, one of the issues that was supposed to be the first book in a trilogy I was working on. And unfortunately, the manuscript for it is on a 3.5-inch disc. Well, those are now obsolete. So even if I still had that disc, I lost it somewhere along the line. I've moved a few times since I lived in Toronto. I moved back to the U.S. at the end of '04. So somewhere along the line, the original manuscript was lost, and I never got around to writing a second in that trilogy. I figure, well, still got a lot of years left, so I may finally get around to doing that.
I have, my kids are grown, but they would not know what a 3.5-inch disc was, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I'm sure we've both seen so many things come and go, the VCR, and remember 8-track tapes.
Yep, 8-track tapes.
My grandfather had one. I went, ooh, look, an 8-track, just like Sony.
Well, you could send the book out to a typist and just have them retype the whole thing for you. You'd have a manuscript, and you're young. I mean, you're really a young man, relatively, and there's plenty of time for you to come out with the two more in the series.
It's really amazing today's digital technologies, and of course we got print on demand now. Because back then, to publish a book, it was a minimum 10,000 copy run. Whereas now they can be printed as they're ordered, and it may take a while if you order a copy to get it. But again, it's being freshly printed and minted, and because that was some friends said they ordered a copy, but it took forever to get it. And I'm like, well, back then it would have.
Right. That's amazing that the technology has come so far for authors and publishing, and people who never had a chance to be a publisher are now able to write books and get them out there, and that is great. Brian, we're running out of time. I know you have a lot of other irons in the fire, so to speak, so we hope we see more books come out. And I encourage our viewers, go check this one out. I was getting to the point, it's not on Kindle, is that right? It's not on audiobook, it's just on the good old analog hardcover and paperback?
Yeah, just hardcover, paperback. I've done a lot of recent writing, there's some articles available on LinkedIn about leadership in the 21st century, and I've still got some works out there. I have a book outline done about adulting through the generations that may be coming into a book form. I don't know. We'll just kind of see, because I do enjoy writing, but I have a lot of creative outlets as well.
Yeah, so we may see another book by you in another genre. Who knows?
Yeah, and then I have a new show coming out, actually. I have some PAR Real Talk guest